Good morning from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's 30 degrees Celsius right now at 12:20 p.m. on the 4th of March 2024. It's very windy today, as was forecast yesterday, and it's very freaking humid. I've just put Charlie outside, but it's very hot out there, so don't think I'll leave her out there long. I had a very bad night of insomnia, which was astonishing because I went to visit my friend Lynn and Peter, my friends Lynn and Peter, and I got there about 3 p.m. and I stayed till about 10:30 at night, or I got home at 10:30 at night. But anyway, I was there all afternoon and evening, and we had a wonderful time chatting, Lynn and I, and we had fish and chips for dinner, and I ate so much. It was delicious because I was quite hungry after the last few days of not really being very hungry at all, which is unusual. So, we had a good feed and cups of tea and drinks of root beer, and what else did we have? Yeah, we sat outside and under their patio, and it was just a lovely evening. And but I expected to be quite tired when I got home. Well, I got home and I went to bed, and my brain went on fire. Wing! So I lay in bed all night, studiously studying the concept of sleep. And sleep would not come until about 5:30 in the morning, and then I slept until I woke up at 11:40, which was astonishing because it's really only just over 6 hours sleep though. But it was astonishing because I have to take my morning tablet for the bladder at 10 a.m, and so I was nearly 2 hours late taking it. But oh well, sleep had to happen eventually, I guess. So I feel kind of like I've been dragged through a lawnmower backwards, but I'm not too tired. I'm just like, I don't know how to describe it. Kind of feeling from the weird interruptions to my sleep and the sleep patterning happening at the wrong end of the day. But it's been like that for a few months now, so I guess it's not really a problem. It's just my new normal. I just have to get used to the fact that my body will only let me sleep from between 4 or 5 a.m. until 10 or 11 a.m. and sometimes even then interrupted by pee breaks. So Mama T is staying alive, and kind of in a weird way. But what else is new? There's nothing new under the sun with me. I've always been incongruent with the rest of humanity, and my body does strange things and fights for its survival and sleeps when it decides it should sleep and not when the prescribed sleep times that other people have. I was so wired for sound last night. I could have gone dancing. I was that ding, 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 ding. But I knew I was body tired, so I just lay in bed, and I got up to pee a fair amount, which was annoying, but not really sleeping, just sort of dozing intermittently and lying there going, why can't I sleep? And I even said to myself, I bet you fall asleep around 5 a.m. and 5:30. I don't even remember falling asleep. I must have just passed out with exhaustion in the end, but don't remember my dreams from last night, so that's probably a good thing. Getting complete rest. Yes, it's a strange looking day out there, windy and blue skies, lots of cloud. I reckon we're going to get some rain, which will be good for the garden. And and I'm feeling a bit blown about by the winds of time. blustery, flustered, fluttery. Fluttery is probably not quite the right word, but anyway. So we'll carry on with today's readings of even date. Memories, 4th of March 2024. I danced like the goddess Kali on the bodies of my enemies. My dead, negligent father, who died itinerant and was in turn neglected in his time of need. Karma is a writhing bitch, but she takes no prisoners. A grief without end comes at last to resolution. And yes, he's been gone 7 years now, and it was a strange kind of grief. The grief that you have for a father that was not really fit to call himself a father, but the biological progenitor and the biological fealty that you have for someone that carries your own, that you carry their DNA, and it's a complex kind of grief when you're grieving a monster of your own family of origin, just saying. I've had quite a lot of that, and now I'm kind of a hollow bone, an empty husk, a tumbleweed blowing out in the dry desert sands of time, praying as I often do that I never meet any of those individuals again in any incarnation, because I'm done working off karma with those bastards. But here he is, my beautiful, handsome father. He was an extremely handsome man. My mother followed her hormones and not her rationale, as women often do, because of the biological imperative. So this is what I mean when I tell you I no longer get fooled by a handsome face anymore. I'm long past the breeding stage. I don't have a uterus and haven't sported one since 30th of October 2007, and the hormones and the libido still fires up on occasion, rather astonishingly, but it's not driven by the need to breed anymore. Oh, thank the gods for that. So I've been spared that anxiety and passion and desires of youth that just long to find a safe landing and somewhere safe and someone safe to procreate with, which I did not have in my choice of husband as a young girl. I wanted the procreation very much, wanted my children, but I found out even writhing in childbed what kind of a monster he really was, so no safety for this little mama. But it's all right. Mama T's grown up now. She's grown up, she's grown old, and she's grown wiser, I hope, in some aspects. Other aspects, I'm still quite childlike, but that's part of my charm. And my father, David Ian Phillips, remained childlike, no doubt, until he passed away from this planet. That perhaps was part of his charm. But there is a childishness that is toxic and dangerous, being selfish and petulant and violent and demanding and greedy and corrupt and unprotective of your own children. That level of childlike behaviour is dangerous, and there's many people out on planet Earth who've been raised by man children and women children who are underwhelped and underdeveloped and downright fucking dangerous, and so goes on the intergenerational trauma from le door va door, from generation to generation. And it's something I think we need to be more conscious of, not just the poor parenting, but the addictions and the acopism and the selfishness in general, the entitleitis I'm seeing a lot amongst the younger generation now, feeling very privileged and entitled, as if life should just be handed to them on a plate. And the minute something goes wrong, they implode because they haven't been raised with any real guidance or real life applications. By the gods, I grew up with a lot of real life applications as a child. I had to manage not only my own tiny infant traumas, but my parents' traumas as well, often, especially when they would get drunk and act out. And it was just completely demonic, really. Demonic is the only way to describe it. But, you know, my daughters probably would say the same thing about me. There were times when I probably didn't behave the best possible way I could have behaved under the immense pressures I was existing under. And so, you know, they rejected me. But really, my younger daughter only rejected me when I couldn't afford to buy her $3,000 Louis Vuitton or Coco Chanel handbags. So it was really about her narcissism and sociopathology rather than that I was an absolute shit parent. And there is that. But never mind, love is the law. They're out there in the world strutting their stuff, living their best life. So I didn't do too bad a job. They've survived to their late 30s and they're thriving in their own small corners of hell, which is all anyone can expect from any mortal on this planet, to hit the ground running and continuously thrive. So even though they've abandoned and rejected and I'm estranged now like I was from my own parents, I'm actually deeply proud of my daughters. I raised them to be strong and independent women and to live their best lives and to make their own choices, and they have chosen. And I have chosen too. I want a life of peace and comfort and ease and being loved by someone that actually genuinely means it. After a lifetime of absolute emotional torture, I deserve that much. So I'm going to be uncompromising about even my own blood having let me down in my time of need now, wallowing in my bladder illness. I'm not going to hold on to people that have demonstrated they have no heartfelt intentions towards me and no courage and no decency to be there for me when I'm floundering, right? Because by the gods, I was at the deathbed of my stepfather, Kees van der Graft, when my mother mocked and derided him as he literally was death rattling and couldn't speak back or defend himself. And Jared and I was so horror struck. It was literally like being in a horror movie, people. And I certainly don't want any of my progeny around me mocking and deriding and being savage when I slip between this world and the next. So, you know, like I say, some things turn out to be the most beneficial outcome. And I just hope that when my time comes, I'll have someone kind with me. Someone noble and decent at the very least, if they can't feel complete milk of human kindness towards me. But it's all very, very humbling, frightening thought. Who will be in your tribe? Who will be in your family when you become weak and vulnerable and in need of genuine care? Start thinking about that, those of you who are getting up in age like myself. create your family from people who genuinely have your back, front and sides, because they are your people, your family, your true loves, who honour you in your struggles to be free, literally. Anyway, here he is, the old man. Wasn't that old. He was 37 when I was born. My mother was 38. And typical New Zealander was wearing his, what we call jandals. In Australia, they're called thongs. And, well, it's typical summer footwear. There's this little hellion, sweet little girl who deserved, I deserved a lot better than all of that. But my father wasn't too bad a father during my very small infancy. He was quite a devoted father at that point in time. We've lost it. Here we go. Where's it gone? My mother said that to get me to sleep as a baby, she would swaddle me up and lay me in the small of my father's back because he radiated so much heat from his body. And I tend to be the same. I too, you always see me with a fan, struggling with my own inner heat. Radiate quite a bit. We give off quite a bit of energy and heat. Don't know why that is. It must be in the Phillips genes. But yes, my mother used to lay me in the small of his back, and as a tiny infant or a young baby, it was the only way they could soothe me, right? Nestled in the radiant heat given off by my father's, I guess, base chakra, very small of his back, just above his buttocks and base of his spine. The Kundalini rising, right? And so that's one happy memory. I can give him that much. I can give him a few. There's a few rare and precious happy memories, but most of it's overshadowed by his complete neglect and acopism and inability to parent. When the man who was my father was still a living God with his tiny mini goddess in his arms. I was a very strong spirit even as an infant. So in real terms, I was kind of treated like a little miniature goddess. I had a very strong will, and it was the will to survive people. Had I not had that strong will, even as a tiny tot, I wouldn't fucking be here, I can assure you of that. So I often say in my videos and to my intimate close friends, never fuck with the Tanya. And I don't mean that as a war cry or a sign of aggression. I mean it as literally, don't even try it, because I've astonished myself many times at what I've been capable of surviving. Some of the things I survived technically were miraculous and should not have even happened. So it's a bit astonishing at times. So I've struggled with that a lot through my life, about the why I was kept here on planet Earth. And I met a young, actually a meth addict. The young man was smoking crack while I was talking to him, which is weird, but he was a very wise young man for his age. He said to me, the point of life is not to work out the why, it's to work out the how. And I looked at him and I went, yes, I've pretty much worked out the why except for certain things, but you're right, it's the how. How can you keep going against all odds? how can this keep happening to me? How can I keep manifesting love, light and truth in a world gone mad? How can I find my truly loving partner who's authentic and genuine and sincere and chooses to be with me? But how, why? It's all rhetorical, really. Life will keep happening until it doesn't, and along the way we work things out, usually, sometimes by bitter experience, but sometimes by great joy and ecstasy and delight and in love with other humans or our pets or a sunset or a sunrise or a rainbow. It can be something really simple when the pennies start dropping. They're the pennies from heaven, literally. Anyway, I'm feeling a bit philosophical today, as I often get. 4th of March 2023, 3:10 a.m, home from a great night of dancing. My feet hurt even though I wore my flat Roman-style sandals which have straps that crisscross my legs. I am a tad exhausted as I worked hard making copper bangles yesterday. Everyone was very sweet and affectionate tonight. It was a quiet night, so less people, but I danced until 2 a.m, then grabbed some 2 a.m's when the bands usually used to finish, but this at the casino, I think by that stage they'd brought in this weird thing where the bands start at 8:30 and finish at 11:30, but then a DJ would go until 2 a.m. Well, actually, no, the DJ would go until 3 or 4 a.m. I think 3 a.m. But anyway, by 2 a.m. was enough for me. I'd be exhausted, so I used to usually leave around 2 a.m. But anyway, they're still doing that weird time frame, 8:30 to 11:30. I guess it gives the people in the band time to pack up and go home and make love to their wives and girlfriends, right? And vice versa. Because it's when you're in a band, you're always out playing till the early hours of the morning. It must be very exhausting. You also don't see your partners that much, especially when you work full time as well. So, to you, my darlings, for your beautiful music and the sacrifices you make to gift us your music as well. Personal hard sacrifices. Anyway, but I danced until 2 a.m, then grabbed some chips, gobbled them down, then hobbled painfully to my car. I got home, ate some grapes and chocolate, drank a cup of tea. Now it's time to sleep, if my brain will let me. Sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't, according to her own gnosis. My poor old brain. 4th of March 2020. I can tell I'm still tired because my eyes are really, really sore. I might just shut these curtains a little bit, take a little bit of the glare off. Oh, it just feels like being stabbed in the eye sockets. It's not good. They're even watery. Okay, where was I? 4th of March 2020. Back from the doctors and Woolies. I have antibiotics for my chest and eardrops with a steroid for my ear. I feel weak and wrung out. My blood pressure is low, but I will get through this current illness. Eventually, smiley face. Crazy people have only focused on shit for the impending coronavirus. Fortunately, my lovely friend Lynn has already bought me some toilet paper as I have been too sick to get to the shops until today. Even then, I am pushing my trolley like a zombie. Can't wait to get back to my bed. And that illness wasn't COVID, related, so just some nasty flu I caught. It was a very strange flu though, but it did knock me for a 6. But I'd had a negative rat test, so it wasn't COVID. 12:27 a.m. Oh my, just woke up from the most powerful, intense dreams. Wow, mind blown. Dreamt of Lucy with baby Ryder. We were driving around in my old car. Lucy was a daughter of a former friend of mine, and Lucy had a history of heroin addiction caused by massive trauma that she won like a booby prize after being kidnapped as a 14-year-old girl and came very close to being murdered. And so she ended up on the smack, and in time she had several children, little baby Ryder being the youngest child. And I was very fond of Lucy and very supportive of her during her the time I was friends with her mother, the 15 years. And Lucy was incredibly bright, genius level bright, could have been a lawyer, could have been anybody, but fell to the mill of the big H. I'm assuming she's still alive. She was on the methadone program for quite some time. In fact, years, wouldn't go off the methadone, and every now and then she'd bust onto the heroin again, and it was really, really arduous and difficult for her and her family and me to be standing by, often having to go and rescue her from time to time from various situations. But I was very fond of her, did love her quite dearly, and so for some peculiar reason I was dreaming of her in 2020. I'd cut ties to her mother and family in early 2015, so it was strange to be dreaming of her. I don't think she's passed away though, although I don't know. It would be weird if she had passed away and I was having all these intense dreams of her, because I often do dream of friends or family members when they pass away. But I have a feeling that she's still living and probably doing okay by now. One can only hope and pray anyway. We did our best to keep her alive, that little one. And she fought us every inch of the way too, by the way. She had very much had a powerful spirit like mine, a fierce will to survive, but sometimes an equally fierce will to try to go down and remove herself off the planet occasionally too, which I completely comprehended, more than most, given my own walk and my own history of child abuse, child sexual abuse. Anyway, in the dream, we were driving around in my old car. I was putting him into his baby capsule and worrying that he was safe, which is weird because I never actually drove around with baby Ryder in real life, so I don't know what that was about. There were more dreams about going to some festival and running into a former employee's fish and chip shop. I did not know who owned it when I walked in, and ordering pineapple fritters, then calling them out on their bullshit as they had so viciously betrayed me when I left my husband and was forced out of my business. That actually happened in real life, people. They could not look me square in the eye. I bet to this day they wouldn't be able to look me square in the eye after what they put me through, the evil, dirty little bastards. But yeah, here I am, having trauma dreams of them. Also kind of weird. Next dream, I was asking an uncle about our family history. He told me this wild story that our grandmother, meaning my grandmother Connie, my father's mother, had been happily married before to a man, a Lance Admiral, for 7 years, but no children. But he fell in love with someone else, and she lost her mind, then married my grandfather and had the boys. None of this is true in real life, that she was married before she married my grandfather, because she married quite young. She had 7 boys. She wasn't married to anyone else prior. But the story was so interesting, I said, I'll need to record this or I'll forget. So, the dreams was mixing fact with fiction a bit, and I don't know why the dream wanted my grandmother Connie married to a Lance Admiral for 7 years. I wonder what all that means, really. It just seems like psychobabble, but there might have been elements like the number 7 or someone of high status in the military. It might have been kind of imagery for me to deconstruct, but I couldn't make sense or nonsense out of it. Anyway. Then 2 aunts dressed in 1920s clothing, giggling mischievously, took me into the kitchen and we were laughing in great frivolity. I said, I need to pee. So one led me to this beautiful bathroom, all done in black and white mosaic. It was a large square room, all mosaicked, even the walls. Along the walls were hung beautiful dresses, all 1920s fashions. The toilet was covered in some material. I lifted up the back and sat down to pee, but I noticed to my horror that the pee seemed to be leaking out under the pedestal and was trailing towards some of the hems on the dresses on the opposite wall. I was embarrassed and conflicted. I wondered why they did not tell me the loo was bloody broken. I stressed how I was going to save the dresses. They were absolutely gorgeous gowns, all beaded and evening, but 1920s flapper style fashions, but all beaded and gorgeous they were. So much detail even in the dream. So I also dreamt of being on a small charter boat in very high seas with Eva, it's my grandmother, whom I never met because she suicided in 1949, and I wasn't born till 1965, so I was talking to her non-stop and had not noticed our boat was sinking. Sounds like something I would do. She was inundated with water, so I grabbed her and took off her seatbelt. Huh? Seatbelts on a boat? And held her high over my head and pounded on her back to try to get the water out of her lungs, which is interesting imagery because my grandmother was, prior to her suicide, was actually actively dying of tuberculosis, TB. So that's dredged up from my subconscious about the problem with the lungs, right? Mind you, I just survived my own illness with my lungs, so it might have been a message from the spirit to remind me to protect my lungs more. Just then, all these rescuers arrived in rubber dinghies. They grabbed my grandmother Eva, who looked just as she did in the 1940s, which I know from photographs of her, and pulled her into the dinghy. Then I jumped in after her. One of the men looked at me. You have been very brave, Tanya. I just rolled my eyes. No fear in this dream at all. But I must get up now and get ready to see my doctor. Oh boy, my first decent sleep and constant psychedelic dreams. The spirits have been busy. Now that was in early 4th of March 2020, and the COVID epoch was just starting to unleash itself on our planet. And so the imagery about water on lungs and lung issues and pounding on my grandmother's lungs trying to stop her from drowning, and all those kind of imagery were kind of interesting, given that I was about to enter a 4-year fight of advocacy on Facebook and YouTube and vocal media, in which I was often censored and silenced and shadow banned, and my comments were removed, and my advocacy was removed, and it was heinous what went on. So here's the voice of some random man in my dreams saying, "You have been very brave, Tanya." Me rolling my eyes, not knowing that in real world I was going to have to be very brave indeed, and fierce and determined, and keep fighting this machinery of 5th generation psyop and of silencing of truth that would create a situation where thousands across the world are struggling to remain in their vitality, let's just put it politely, still having to dance around the truth, almost like a mirage. But the truth remains the truth, no matter how much they want to change our language around it and deny it and obfuscate like cowards. So I'm still being brave, and I'm still advocating for the truth on what we've been put through as a species in the past 4 years. And so it is, and so it shall always be, until my last breath on planet Earth. March 4th, 2017, 4:41 a.m. Home safe in a hot bath, unfurling my tight muscles in my feet and thighs and knees. Tony Child sang beautifully. I was so happy to see her perform live. She was generous to the crowd. My friend Chris enjoyed her performance too. Then we went to the casino and danced until the early hours of the morning. I had a great night in spite of my harrowing news yesterday afternoon. I feel exhausted and numb, but grateful for a night spent with beautiful, soulful people and the loving support of all my friends here on Facebook, in real world and in real world. Love you all. Having received the news the previous day of my father's death, right? There is great power, not just in Tony's voice, but in her message. I found it very healing. She has evolved into a beautiful butterfly from her youth, when her song spoke of survival with a peremptory kind of rage, much appreciated and beloved by those like myself, who had to fight for our tiny inner child spot on this planet with a cosmic scream and stream of consciousness. But we are older and wiser, and we know all things evolve and revolve on the planetary alignment, and we must honour our earth and our vessel to return to our default of wholeness. We must leave the earth a better place than when we came onto it, or our legacy for future generations is blighted and stymied and lost. 2017, I wrote this, people. We have lost so much already, but we can blossom out again. See file photo, which is the photo I showed you previously of my father holding me in his arms. I would have been about 2 there. He died on the 3rd of March 2017 from kidney sepsis 3 days short of his 89th birthday. The home he was living in failed to take him to hospital in a timely manner. It was tantamount to manslaughter. Shepparton, Victoria, Australia, another evil place. If he had been a decent, kind, loyal, protective, loving, safe father, I would have found the resources somehow to sue the Victorian government and that aged care facility for his murder. But I am done battling for my family of origin that never actually cared enough about me as a little girl to keep me safe. So fuck them. But life proves men are mere mortals after all, and some, not worthy of the title father, but nevertheless, Vale. I sure as shit hope he does not come to join with me in the next life, or the one after that, or ever for the rest of eternity, actually. Take all the other Davids with you. I am done with Davidian reptilians, at least for this life incarnation. Winky face. My friend Ashley Alexia wrote, "Oh, you never told me you were a towhead. You look like me as a wee bairn." I'm assuming towhead means blonde. It might be an Americanism. I'm not sure exactly what towhead means, but I assume she means that I was a little blondie. Then she replies again, like legitimately, you were the top 1% of blondest babies. Indeed I was. My hair was white as snow, and similar to my Uncle Snow, his hair was also white as snow. I wonder why my hair got so much darker as I got older, which the same thing happened to me. I replied, I was actually born with Titian red hair, but it all fell out when I was a month old. Then I was, quote, bald as a badger's ass until I was 9 or 10 months old. They had to put bonnets on me to disguise the fact. Then I was pure platinum blonde until I was 11, then turned a mousy brown with the onset of puberty. I am still technically a redhead, lots of freckles, and my infamous fiery temper, lol. One of my 6 uncles was so blonde they nicknamed him Snow. His real name was Morris. My mother complained to my father's mother that I was so white. My grandmother told her, don't bother putting her out in the sun. No matter what I did, Snow always looked like he fell in the flower bin. I was quite fond of my Uncle Snow. I saw him a few times during my childhood because he lived not far from us. I didn't see him often. He came to tell us of his mother's death when I was 15. And I think I'd seen him, probably half a dozen or so times before. He was always very kind to me, my Uncle Snow. He never married and he never had children, but he was always decent and kind and very warm and affectionate towards me. And but we had that in common, our extreme whiteness. Kind of have to laugh about that. I'm only tanned now because I live in the subtropics, different light spectrum. In New Zealand, all I ever did was burn and peel, burn and peel. Now I'm riddled with sun cancers. It's beyond awful. Ashley Alexia asked, what was so bad about him? Where was it gone? I'd like to know. She was referring to my father. I replied, "My father was a paedophile enabler, a violent pugilist, and an acopic weak man who circled around my narcissist mother for decades after their separation, even when she was in partnerships with other men like my de facto stepfather, Kees van der Graft, and he circled around my mother when she was with the last boyfriend and later husband, Buck Shearer, too. It was a kind of sick in a way, but I guess he was still obsessed with my mother on some level, right? I just have to shrug my shoulders at that, because it was not exactly a healthy relationship, that marriage and friendship with my mother after their separation. None of it was okay. So he was a traitor to me, his only biological daughter, and was utterly monstrous to my half-sister, his stepdaughter. In short, he was a cunt. I adored him as a child, blind to all his faults. He groped my very pregnant breasts, meaning I was very pregnant at the time, so my breasts were engorged with, beginning manufacturing of colostrum and preparing for, my body preparing itself for childbirth. Oh, it was disgusting what he was. He was disgusting. He groped my very pregnant breasts when I was standing at my kitchen sink when I was 20 years old and 5.5 months pregnant. Stepped up behind me and put his hands on my breasts. Who does that to their adult daughter that's bearing their grandchild, by the way? Fucking animal. I should have killed him. I regret so many things in life. But then I guess I would have been sitting in prison for the rest of my life, and my government would have protected and defended these animals over and over again, which they have a nasty habit of doing, which is why we have a society where everyone's and lopped off now. And you know what? No, think of the innocents, Tanya, the innocent people that got fooled by their own governments. Have mercy, Tanya. But there was little mercy or compassion shown to me during my childhood and my early 20s and 30s and indeed even 40s, right up to my suicide attempt at 50. There was very little human decency shown to me. So every now and then I boil over with preternatural rage, and it's only reasonable given the life I experienced. Quite reasonable, but like my libido, I usually tamp down the rage too. But anyway, I continue writing. This caused me to have flashbacks of all the sexual abuse I had endured as a very young child at the hands of my godfather and later de facto stepfather. I've just got the aircon on, but I'm having a hot flush. My whole face is just sweating in a river of fire. So probably from the stress of having to go over this old ground again. I don't have to go over it, but I choose to, because it might help some young woman out there that has a predator father like mine to realise these people are disgusting, and the only way you will ever have a good life is to get far, far away from them and never let them near you or your children ever again. Get yourselves safe, little ones, as best as you can, and get the support you need to do so. I had no support in those days. I had a toxic husband as well as a mother, stepfather, father, half-sister. I was surrounded by the most profound evil that kept gaslighting and victim blaming me and saying that I was crazy and I was the problem, grabbing your pregnant daughter's breasts. Sick is what they were and still are. Even though they're dead, I will never, ever, ever forgive them. My family of origin were utter monsters, and it took me 20 years of therapy to reach acceptance of that. That's how brainwashed I was by them, by the way. I will never excuse or forgive their behaviours. I just have to forgive myself, the innocent child, for not being able to escape them, and my terrorised, traumatised inner child who gave me the courage to survive them all and still remain a relatively decent, honourable, kind person. Too kind, as I made myself available to my mother, my monster, for the last 18 months of her life, when she languished with end-stage Alzheimer's. A kindness I did not prefer to my sexually inappropriate father. He died alone of kidney sepsis in Shepparton, Victoria, effectively murdered by that state as they failed to get him treatment for a kidney infection. 6 years ago, on the 3rd of March, 3 days shy of his 89th birthday. I was enraged about it, as my mother was also murdered by neglect. They broke her hip just weeks prior to instituting palliative care for her Alzheimer's, which meant withholding food and water. It took her 3 weeks to die, a long, slow, agonising death, well, for me having to watch and await it. So what did he do to or for me, you ask? He orgasmed in my mother and gifted me life, l'chaim. Then they abused me, even in utero, with their constant screaming and fighting. I was a failure to thrive baby, born premature as well, vomiting up all my food for months until I was eventually hospitalised as I was starving. So yes, what did they do for me? Handed me over to their familial paedophile, never protected me during 12 years of bullying at school, never protected me in my shitty marriage she practically manipulated me into at 19. She being my mother, the she-wolf, not even worthy of naming half the time. Aligned with my abusive husband after my separation and divorce. Brutalised me emotionally when I was already freshly strangled and so broken that life meant nothing and I wanted to die. Brutalised my children too, emotionally. Forced me into poverty again and again, robbing me of the equivalent of 4 houses, including land in Waiheke Island, which is now a multi-millionaire's resort. And we're talking billionaire's resort even. They have bunkers all over that island. That's how exclusive and mad those wealthy people living there, thinking they're going to be safe on a little island 14 kilometres off the coast of Auckland from the apocalypse, right? What happens when the food runs out, you dumb motherfuckers? Well, I'm sure they have enough food stored for at least 5 to 10 years, but eventually the food would run out. But that's how much money they've got to waste on frivolities like bunkers, right? Thinking that they'll survive and the rest of planet Earth will just fry. That's what they wish for us, the elite, on my grandfather's land that was meant to come to me, by the way. Anyway, you have to laugh at the vicissitudes of fate sometimes. Sometimes it ends up being a backhanded little twist or a gift. If nothing else, the humour that's left out of the gravel rash of my life. Including land in Waiheke Island, spelt Waiheke. Google it, people. It's the most beautiful place. You'll be astonished when you look at it. My land. Mine. My grandfather shook hands on. The fool trusted my greedy mother, so he did the contract by handshake, right? Had no idea what a vicious, greedy, narcissist, grasping piece of shit my mother really was. To give to me for my inheritance. She always told me that land is yours and then ripped it away from me. She's a psychopath, it's what they do. Foul. Anyway, at the end of the day, it's only money, it's only assets. What do the weffers say? You will own nothing and you will be happy? No, you fucking won't. You will be outraged at how many people, including your own family of origin, robbed you of everything that was meant to help you survive on this planet and left you with no resources and no real love and no protection. Oh, you'll be so fucking happy, people of Earth. You'll be thrilled and delighted. I don't think so. They took far worse things from me than money or homes, though. They took my confidence and my ability to thrive and created a distorted pattern in my infant brain where I attracted more and more monsters all through adulthood, men and women who were just different guises of my monstrous family, even though I had changed religion and chosen partners from a different culture. So nothing changed. Not one thing. The evil permeated like a stink I could not eradicate, and still I have not found a safe love partner. What did they do to me? They built me wise and powerful and beautiful, then tore at my heart and even flesh like vultures. I had to suicide to hit the refresh button, which I don't recommend trying at home, kids. Only the gods brought me back to this life, but there are thousands every day that don't come back, that don't get vomited back to this earth and given another chance at life. So don't try that lightly. It's not something you should play with. Of course, at that point in time, I was serious, but I'll repeat, I had to suicide to hit the refresh button, a gift from my capricious but loyal, loving gods. Then just to make sure I got the message, those same gods almost killed me yet again with the gallbladder surgery, which was 4 years later in 2019. So I could fight that debauched, evil hospital when I was close to death and weak and vulnerable. I don't think they'd seen anything like it, how I rose myself up with a drain still attached to my side, telling them what level of vermin they were for their sexual inappropriateness towards me at pre-admission, and then withholding pain relief and all the other bullshit. Oh my God, it's so much bullshit that I was put through. Anyway, so I could discover who the fuck I truly am. A warrior goddess who deserved to be loved and treated better. Did it happen? No. So what did they do for me? It's a rhetorical question, and one that will never be truly answered, since I meant nothing and pass across this pox-ridden hellscape like a wraith in the night, screaming my banshee rage and occasionally dancing and feasting on the last remaining deliciousness of life. It's my defiance. Might have to go and get our Charlie in. Yes, we'll just take a little walkies out. We'll go and get the Charlie because it's about to rain, and should be maybe all right in the rain, but I'm worried about if it's storming and her getting hit by lightning or some horrible unexpected event. Hello, little baby. The weather's on the turn, little baby. You gonna come and help Mummy make the video? Come and help his mama make the video. Come on. Come. She's gonna give me a hard time. She does this. She teases me. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's go, little baby girl. Come on, let's go. Oh, hello. Say hello to the people. Say hello to the people, Charlie. Uh-oh. Just fell off my dress. There we go. What are you doing? I see you've been plucking out more feathers. That's very bad, Charlie. You're a bad feather plucker outer. Oh my goodness. Here she is. We're going in the house. We're going to put your food containers back in your cage. Or is it going to be busy, Charlies and Mummies? Here we go. You can go there or you can come in the lounge with me. What do you want to do? What do you want to do, Charlie? You come with Mama? Pardon me. Oh, it's nice and cool in here. It's much cooler in here than it is outside, by the gods. All right, here we go. We continue on. I forgot to bring a cloth because guaranteed she will shit. We can guarantee that, can't we, little Charlie girl? I know. We're going to do the poopykins under Mama because it's what we do. We're the poopykin girls. I know. They're singing a song. You gonna sing a song to the people on YouTube? So I'm singing you songs, people. I know. She sees herself and she goes, what the hell? It sounded like she said, what the hell, almost. What the hell is that? That's you, Charlie. You was a pretty birdie. You was a pretty birdie. She says, why do you always talk to me, Mama T? I don't know, because I can, Charlie. All right, Mama. All right, Mama, she says. However it works, Mama T. Right, here we go. I'll set you back up here again. We are back in the room, I mean. Won't talk baby talk to you, people, YouTube, because that would be weird. It's not weird talking baby talk to a bird, though. Or is it? Yes. Yes. Oh, you want scratches and cuddles? Okay. It's all very sweet, Charlie. So my friend Ashley Alexia wrote, do you actually believe the house of Saxe-Berg-Goethe is the Davidian bloodline? I have been told that Diana, meaning Princess Diana, was of the Merovingian bloodline, and that's why they sacrificed her. The same lineage of Joan d'Arc. The Merovingians were supposedly flaxen-haired. That's not to say that originally it was so. I reckon they interbred in France and picked up that trait from Normans, but I'm no expert in history. My bird's going cray-cray. I reckon... Oh no, I read that already. I have also heard there's a faction of Knights Templar who wish to avenge her death, being they are tasked with protection of that bloodline. But I don't really know. It could all be made up. My reply was, my reference to the Davidian line, it's my own tongue-in-cheek reference to, relates to my father and that evil bastard David Davidson, who I had a love affair with in 1998 to 2001. That man, as Satir, his friend, referred to him as lol, haunted me shortly after his death. Then the last true lover, hardly a true lover really. My love was true and poured into an empty NPC vessel. Another Dave. David means beloved one in Hebrew. My middle name, Desiree, in French means desired one. But what's in a name but a blessing and a curse bestowed by knaves? But if I meet men named David now, I tell them to stay the fuck away from me, which is a bit awful because I have had some friends in my lifetime named David who were very nice men. But not many men can handle my trauma issues and my warrior goddess metal and my spirit protectors and my intelligence and my passions and my heartfelt need to thrive on planet Earth. Most men that I come across that think that they're attracted to me are very quickly intimidated by my mana and prove themselves to be rather weak men indeed by their actions or their sins of omission. So it's a great shame and a pity because I always wanted a truly loving partner, and the gods simply have withheld that from me throughout my life. And here I am 59, almost 59 on the 12th of April, so just over a month. And I despair, I kind of despair, but at the same time it was prophesied 30 years ago that I would find my love partner when I'm 60, so I'm not going to invest much energy into holding out much hope for that because fortune tellers can get things wrong, have been known to get things wrong too. And I live in my world and you live in my world too, people of Earth. In my world, the world is a kind and loving and noble and honouring space. And everyone is loved and protected and cared for, and that doesn't always pan out in real world applications, unfortunately. But anyway, I delight in the romantic overtures of some of my beautiful friends, because what else have I got left to look forward to but the little occasional sweetnesses extended to me? And one can only hope that it all builds and builds and builds to something really wonderful one day. I think she just pooed in my hair. I feel like she's caught me a beauty. Have you caught Mummy a beauty? Oh, I'm bleeding. Okay, did you scratch his mummy? All right, that happens sometimes too. All right, little girl, can you just sit and not wiggle, wiggle, wiggle because you're scratching Mama? 4th of March 2016. I know. Beauregard and I are at the park. Yes, I know. I should have taken my Ventolin before I left. I have been naughty. Just going to sit here and hope that more puppies come along so Bobo can play. There are lots of large dogs in the big dog area, which I couldn't take him there because he was in danger, mortal danger. The hens are having... Did you just say Bobo? Bobo. He's in Valhalla waiting for us, Charlie. The hens are having a well-deserved break from Bobo's attentions. Little Frida is the only one still laying. 1 tiny egg a day. She's a little Chinese silky chook. She is a champion. Heidi has dropped all her feathers and looks quite tiny and scruffy. So far, he hasn't killed any of them. But yes, I had to keep them separated and it was quite stressful for all of us at times. Happy day today. Roscoe and Jackie came to do the lawns. The garden looks lovely and tidy again. I had a long rest as my chest is no good, then went down to pick up my jewellery repairs. Then bought a few groceries. Now back home, sitting in the garden with Beauregard, enjoying the sweet day. Not too hot this afternoon, a lovely breeze. Blue skies, sunshine, bliss.